Hello you and welcome back to some Kinda Fox content, or should I say, kinda spooky content. As you know, we are doing the Spooktober month here, and this is the second episode of a game called Tiny Bunny. If you missed the first one, I highly recommend you go see it, because this game is a visual novel, so it's kind of a scary story. And if you missed the beginning, how would you understand what the story is all about? But if you did see the first episode, I hereby say, welcome to episode number 2. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olya and her owl in the morning. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? That I asked myself. We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet, under the table, behind the curtains, where Olya always hides.
Tosha, подойди-ка сюда.
Tosha, get your butt out here! I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet but still dragged them towards the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. How does that smell? Huh. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars, worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused.
Здравствуйте.
Hello? The senior officer, who wore a grim expression, nodded.
Тут мальчик вчера потерялся. Вовой зовут.
A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name's Vova. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Глянь, пожалуйста.
Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held out a photograph to me. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a white smile.
Нет.
No, I haven't. Oh, is this, Okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I believe Anton just said "niet." So I think this language is Russian. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Just yell at me in the comments for being ignorant.
Точно? Посмотри внимательнее.
Are you sure? Look closely.
Где мне его видеть?
Now where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house.
А может, видел в окно?
Well, maybe you've seen him from the window.
Да, у тебя ведь окна налево.
Ha, that's right. Your window looks straight at the forest, don't they? You should be more vigilant during the night. Keep a watch. The window.
Нет, не видел.
No, I haven't seen anything.
Ясно.
I see. He sounded tired, but his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt, with his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some reason.
Вы, кстати, как на новом месте?
How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Wait, how do they know it's a new place?
Понемногу, только вот дочка маленькая.
Bit by bit, it's just our little daughter missed the city a lot.
Скучает, значит.
Misses
Из
the
местных
city,
вас
huh?
никто не беспокоит?
Have the locals been treating you well?
Все хорошо, спасибо.
Ah, yes, everything's all right, thank you. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his brown eyes. My head started spinning.
Может, вам помочь как-то?
Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner.
Я вот стою и думаю,
Now that I think about it,
ты, малец, на племеша моего похож.
you look just like one of my nephews, little fella.
Шустрый парнишка,
He's a
твоих
witty
лет,
boy
с
around
такими
your
же
age,
окулярами.
wears the
Всё
same
книжками
types of
зачитывается,
goggles.
детективами.
Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels.
Когда летом погостить приезжал,
Told me he
Говорит, что
wants
в
to
школу
enroll in
милиции
police
мечтает
school
поступить.
when his family visited this summer.
как я, хотел людям помогать.
Wanted to
Смекай.
help other people just like me, see? Is he? Want to help other people just like me, see? Is that what I should be doing? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me.
Ох, ребятушки,
You know what?
сидите-ка вы
Little
лучше
boys
дома.
like you should stay at
Не
home,
ввязывайтесь ни во
stay
что.
away from trouble.
Жизнь
The
сейчас совсем
times have
другая.
changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice.
Мне ли не
Ah,
знать?
you don't say!
Ну да ладно.
Ah, well then.
Ты, Антон, в каком классе учишься?
What grade are you in, Anton? How does he know my name? Excuse me, did someone oh yeah, right, she yelled at me, my mom. That's probably how she got the yeah,
В 6-м.
6th.
Друзей-то на новом месте еще не завел?
Have you made any friends here so far?
Пока нет. Я только после
Not
каникул в
yet.
школу
I'll be
пойду.
going to school for the first time after the break.
Тогда вот вам на всякий случай мой номер. Звоните, если узнаете что.
Then I'll leave you my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone, along with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and the photo of a smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I wondered what it was like for him, being all alone. There. For some reason, I thought of the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and trash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually?
Мам, а Вова этот в нашем лесу заблудился?
Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest?
Выходит, что так.
Seems like
Бедный
it.
ребенок.
Poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAC drove off toward the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. Is that like an expansion to Hello Kitty? Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, BAM! Solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest. Oh, uh-oh. And then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy. And I'll get a reward. Olya will be so happy. And not only for Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. I fantasized about buying Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself and a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at the time, just that annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what was the accountant's job like. They count money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had any money to afford sweets, and Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes, I gave her my share, too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a little pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues.
Пойду погуляю.
I'm going outside!
Ага, щас.
Yeah, right. With all the missing boys and that. Go to your room.
Чтобы потом милиционеры с твоей фотографией по домам
Exactly.
ходили.
You want the police to go around here with your photograph next?
Лес вон какой густой.
The forest is so thick.
А если мальчика звери дикие утащили? Или
What
того
if the
хуже?
boy got snatched up by wild animals? Or yeah, something even worse. Even worse echoed through the hallway.
Да я рядом буду. В лес не пойду.
I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Oh, no, we won't.
Что я тебе сказала?
Did you
Мне
hear what
дважды
I said,
повторять.
or should I repeat myself?
Лучше портфель собери или соли поиграй.
Better go pack your school bag or play with Olya. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. Okay, we can either open this, which I see no reason for. We can go to the kitchen where Mom is angry at us, or we can defy the words of Mom and go to the front yard. Okay, I need to think about this. Okay. I mean, curiosity leaves me to wanting to open this door. My morality is dragging me towards the kitchen, and my second part of my curiosity wants to go to the front yard, my adventurous side. I mean, Mom does have a point. I'm gonna go to the kitchen and reason with her. I'll be the next investigator here. What the? I can open the fridge, I can turn back, or I can lie to Mom. No, are we gonna go down that route? Yep, we are. We're gonna lie to Mom. It was difficult to lie to Mom, but there was no other way for me to run away from home.
Мам, там что-то с телевизором случилось.
Mom! Something's wrong with the TV.
Картинка какая-то тусклая, и экран весь в полосах.
The picture is dim and there are stripes all over the TV screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted.
Без ножа меня режешь.
You're killing me here, so have you had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now?
Говорила же, посадите мне кинескоп своей приставкой.
Told you the kinescope would go dim because of your dang console. Your Xbox and your whatnot.
Где мы теперь мастера найдем в дыре этой, а?
Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh?
Может быть, просто настройки сбились?
Maybe it's just the settings.
Сходи, посмотри, пожалуйста.
Please go see for yourself. This is the best lie I could come up with. This is gonna take like a minute and a half and she's gonna be back.
Нормально же работал с утра.
Strange, it worked fine in the morning.
Из-за снегопада, наверное, неполадки.
Maybe the snowfall caused it. Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olya's room. We should bring some snacks. There's no time for this. Mom will come back soon. Oh, well, we don't have that option now. Here we go. Open or front yard? Front yard. Here we go. We are going on an investigation. I opened the front gate and went into the field. Carefully, so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half of the distance towards the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the lights of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there. Distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me. And a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent, I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olya. The time reached its limit. A one-way trip that ended at the forest's piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olya turned to stone listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became numb a couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together, almost like all of it was in a previous life. When they kissed with Olya present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day, it all changed. Something important had left our home. And something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if darkness, wow, I read that wrong. It was as if a fire broke out and our parents were hurriedly panicking our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground in everything. And somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and I looked around. There were only me, this white field, and the wind that was wiping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby trees' roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into the ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was also always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova. I heard a distant shout, looked like it came from the river. Vova. As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there, behind the trees, hiding. Vova. I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally toward the ground. Its blackness. There is no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. It looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination, after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. My muscles were tightly sprung, my heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. Oh, if we take it, we're gonna be eaten by the darkness. But I need to investigate. Shoot. No, this is a trap. We're gonna run away. Lump of snow fell from the branches, and that reminded me of the sound soil makes when you throw it into the pit on top of a casket. I immediately felt dizzy, as if I was balancing at a precipice. I slowly backed away from my finding. It felt like the moment I touched it, a trap would spring. Aha! I knew it! And the mouse would get caught. Someone walked on the ice close by. My inner voice whispered, "Save yourself. Run." My nerves got the better of me. I ran, burying my head in my shoulders. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. Whoops. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength, spurred me on. "You can do it. Don't stop." I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. 2 giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became vicious like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow even this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. It was yellow. Ew. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone. My boot slipped out of the hole and my soles were on a hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump and from there ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. That house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and their creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and it obediently gave way. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and I pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you to never slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone and the breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring, and with it, the last bit of strength I had left my body too. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow.
Ты где был? Я тебе что говорила? ты дома
And
сидел.
where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay at home.
Я и для тебя пустое место.
Am I nothing to you? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out.
У отца сигареты пропали.
Your dad can't find cigarettes.
Признавайся, ты их стащил?
Be
Курить
honest.
бегаешь?
Did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret?
Там за мной
I-
кто-то гнался.
There was someone chasing me. I thought. I stuttered as soon as I started to explain myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned toward me and sniffed my clothes like a beast, searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant, and she covered her mouth with her hand.
Гляди, вон же они. Прямо у забора.
Look over there, at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again, and my pursuers were following me into the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratch at the door, just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger, and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs. Just a small pack of stray with no name and owner, barely reminding of the hungry monsters that live on the edge of the forest.
Божечки, ты их
Oh
испугался?
boy, were you scared
Да они
of
сами
them?
тебя
I
перепугаются,
think
Антон.
they'd rather be scared of you, Anton.
Они гнались за мной, словно за зайцем.
They were chasing me like a bunny.
А вдруг они бешеные?
And what if they're rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them.
Что если они нападут на Олю?
What if they attack Olya? Well, and you, Anton, but especially Olya.
Mom,
Mom,
Вот бы твой отец их всех
I wish your
пристрелил.
dad could just shoot them all. Okay, calm it there.
мама, они живые.
Mom, look, they're alive.
А что?
Ha! What?
Ты уж определись? Они тебе друзья или враги?
Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind here.
Не маленький ведь уже.
You're not a little kid anymore. He's in 6th grade. Calm down, Mom. Mom sighed in annoyance, and I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner just to keep myself from crying. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment.
Иди сюда, паникер.
Come here, my boy who cried wolf.
Да не стой столбом.
Oh, don't just
Вот,
stand there. Come
таблетки
take your
на. Быстро
pills.
пей.
A golden-colored pill, reminiscent of a dead wasp, fell onto my palm.
Я уже пил сегодня.
I
На
already
завтрак.
took one during breakfast.
Попререкайся мне еще.
Don't you dare talk over me.
Сказала дома сидеть.
I
Нет же.
told you to stay at home and you...
Был бы отец, выпорол.
Dad would have given you a good whooping for that.
Сейчас же выпей, а то
Come on,
ночью не
take it,
уснешь.
or you won't be
You
able to
go
sleep at
завтра.
night. Sounds like me, and you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medication, drinking it down with similarly awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Vova's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters and Olya's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my overexerted brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawny indifference along with it.
Антон, выпил? Можешь, если захочешь.
Anton, you're done! See, you can do it when you try.
Раздевайся. Уснул, что ли?
Take off your coat. Are you asleep? What's happening here? Where am I? Who am I don't know.
Нет, мам.
No,
просто
Mom.
задумался.
I was just thinking.
Интересно, о чем же?
What about, I wonder? I'm no mind reader, so if you don't tell me, how would I know?
Так,
It's just
глупости всякие.
something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came from the forest.
Точно все нормально?
Is everything all right?
У тебя такое
You
лицо
had the
было, когда милиционер
exact same
тебя
expression when the policeman asked you about the window.
Все нормально, мам.
I'm all right, Mom. She heaved a deep sigh.
Хорошо.
Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. Run for your life, you escaped, achievement unlocked, oh boy. The sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olya was done re-watching her favorite Little Mermaid episode and switched to other tapes. I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopped before the sink and studied my reflection in the mirror like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Then I went upstairs. Jafar's and Lago's voice died down. Oh, isn't he called Iago, not Lago? Oh, it was an uppercase I. God, I'm so stupid. I walked past Olya's bedroom and slipped into my own. The simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. I sat on the bed, and only then I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The corners of the room bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor, just like a shroud.
Оля,
Olya? Who else would be standing there? I stood up and licked my dry-up lips.
Оля, очень смешно.
Yeah, Olya, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. Well, it's technically the same thing. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached towards the curtains. Badum, badum, beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field with a chorus of voices. For a second, I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They're looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep.
Попался!
Gotcha!
Да я сразу понял, что это ты.
I knew it was you from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit up above Olya's head with the setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad always used to say she was shining with happiness. I always retorted, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. But I brought her to the window one day and sunlight poured over her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a light, worn child.
А почему к нам милиция приходила?
Why did the police
Ты что-то
come?
натворил?
Did you do something?
Нет, конечно.
No,
Скажешь тоже.
of course not.
Это из-за совы, да?
It's because of the owl, isn't it? I shoved her. Oh my god. I read and then I stupid. Blur. I showed her a worried smile and rubbed her head.
Один мальчик потерялся в лесу.
A boy got lost in the woods.
О, ему,
Oh,
наверное, там
he
очень
must have been really
холодно.
cold out there.
А его найдут?
Will they find him?
Обязательно.
They will.
Участковый по домам
The police are
ходит,
going
всем
house to
фотографии
house,
показывает.
showing his photo to everybody. Olya traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window.
А почему он по домам ходит, а не по лесу?
And why are they going to the houses and not the forest?
Боится?
Are they scared? The question caught me off guard.
Милиционеры ничего не боятся.
The police aren't scared of anything.
И лес они
They've
прочесали.
already scouted the forest. I changed the topic, as if trying to get Olya as far away as possible from the forest thicket.
Если я сам найду
We may get a
пропавшего
reward
мальчика,
if I
нам,
go
может,
and
награду
find
дадут.
this boy myself.
Кучу всякого, как в поле чудес.
A lot of stuff like in the Wheel of Fortune. Ah, well,
Клево же.
sounds cool, right? Olya wasn't listening to me. She asked in a hushed voice, while piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes uncharacteristic for her.
А что, если эта сова его утащила?
What if the owl got him?
Ерунда.
Nonsense.
Не может
An
сова
owl
поднять
won't be
человека.
able to lift a human.
Но вот что...
But you know what? I was picking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain.
Ты в лес не суйся. Мне
Stay
кажется, он
away
какой-то,
from the forest. I think it's...
Как бы сказать...
How should I put
проклятый,
it?
что ли.
It's cursed or something.
Как в сказке?
Just like in a fairy tale. Sounds cool. Let's go.
Нет,
No.
скорее, как на той страшной
More
кассете,
like
что
in that
родители
spooky
прячут.
tape our parents hide from us. Finding Nemo, am I right? Olya shivered and stole a glance at the window. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile. It was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind and her small fire would be gone.
Хорошо тебе.
Oh, you're lucky.
Меня вот мама не пускает даже на крыльцо.
Mom won't even let me go outside. Well, me neither, but you know.
Как принцесса в башне сижу.
I'm like a princess in the tower. I can't go anywhere.
Так и умру тут от
I'll
скуки.
die from boredom here.
Не придумывай.
You're wrong.
От скуки еще
No one
никто
has
не
ever
умирал.
died of boredom. Someone Google fact check that for me.
У тебя же есть я и мультики, а мама с папой скоро помирятся.
And you have me and your cartoons. And mom and dad will be good to each other soon.
Знаешь, что бы я загадала
You know
на
what I would
следующий
wish
день
for on my
рождения?
next birthday?
Чтобы родители тоже
I'd
в детей
wish for mom and dad to
превратились.
turn into
И мы бы
children
все
so we could
вместе
go and play
играли,
together like we used
раньше.
to. Aw, that's so sweet.
Ага. А если бы они стали размером с жука, то
Yeah.
мы бы их в спичечный
And
коробок
if you'd make
посадили.
them as small as box, we could place them into a little box. Olya giggled and tugged at my sleeve.
Тоша, пойдем Аладдина смотреть.
Tasha, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue won over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy.
Вымотался я. Что-то не хочется.
I'm too tired. I don't want to.
Ну пойдем.
Ah, come on.
Мне скучно одной, а
It's
мама
so
занята
boring
всё
alone and
время.
mom is always busy.
Можно выбрать другой мультик, который ты еще
We
не
can pick a
видел.
cartoon you haven't seen before.
Да я все наши кассеты наизусть
I know
знаю.
all of our tapes by heart at this point.
А вот и не все.
Not all of them. You haven't watched
Пэна
Peter
не
Pan.
видел. Помнишь, ты уснул на середине?
Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it?
А там потом такое.
And so much
Ну,
happens after
пойдем.
that. Let's go, let's go.
Пойдем.
Давай попозже.
Maybe a bit later.
Рассказать тебе, чем все закончилось?
Should I tell you how it ends? Should I spoil it for you?
Утром расскажешь.
Let's leave that for tomorrow.
Утром не захочу.
I won't tell you tomorrow. I'll only tell you now.
Придумала.
I know.
Давай в прятки.
Let's play hide and seek.
Нет, Оль.
No, Olya.
Тогда
Then draw me a
нарисуй
dino.
динозавра.
Оля, блин.
Olya, please.
Нарисуй, нарисуй.
Draw it, you coward.
Да оставь ты меня в покое!
Leave me alone already. I blurted it out without thinking, and then I was immediately taken aback. I'd never screamed at my little sister like that. Olya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Olya from crying.
Ладно, уболтала. Давай
All right,
смотреть мультики.
you win. Let's go watch
Недолго.
cartoons for a bit.
Уже не
I
хочу.
don't wanna! I came up to her, put my hand on her soft head.
Пойдем.
Let's go.
Питера Пэна посмотрим.
Let's go watch Peter Pan.
Ага, ты опять уснешь.
Ah, boo! You'll fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless.
Не усну,
I
обещаю.
promise I won't.
А потом я тебе целого
And I'll draw
трицератопса
you a full
нарисую.
triceratops later.
Ура!
Hooray!
Трипик!
3% pops, whatever. Draw me that.
Ну, почти.
Well, close enough. Olya rubbed her eyes with a sleeve of her pajamas and a shining smile returned to her face.
Давай ты пока кассету
I'll go
перемотай.
ask Mom for condensed milk and bread, and you rewind the tape.
Только утром свежий привезли, как ты любишь.
The bread is fresh, just how you like it. Yeah.
Неси.
All right, just be careful not to spill the milk,
Опять ругаться будут.
or you'll be yelled at again.
Спорим, не разолью.
Wanna bet I won't spill it?
Кассета где-то в тумбочке.
The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Go do something. Olya disappeared into the doorway, and I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. What was that? Oh, it was the teddy bear. I moved my cursor over it. Can I only click on the TV? Olya's countless toys. An old teddy bear with the main attraction is the main attraction here. Olya doesn't sleep without it. And she digs her nose into its fur when she sleeps. Oh, so I can press other things. Okay. I'm sorry, you can't see my cursor because I have it set up in OBS that way. A piggy bank. I stole all Olya's money. Olya is saving money for a real puppy because Dad said that taking care of him will take a lot of money. The scary window where Olya sees that accursed owl every night, lurking in the dark. Olya keeps curtains open during the day, but as soon as the twilight comes, she shuts them tight so she wouldn't see the pair of hungry eyes outside. Okay, turn on. The old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left was clicking the button on the front panel. The tube warmed up and familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for a moment. It was a dark taiga forest, just like the one outside my window. That picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembling human speech was coming out of the speaker. Just a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did I catch some rogue signal? Local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently, I used to always watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna. What if I catch this sick channel again? On the other hand, Olya had asked me to find the tape. It wouldn't be nice to disappoint her, but in my sleepy state, I didn't have the strength to do all of it. Shikoko. Do we set the antenna or do we set... No, we have to set the antenna, right? The picture finally cleared up. But the moment I rejoiced at finding that weird signal again, the TV started coughing. A voice barely coming through the cacophony.
Видели его часто.
He was often seen.
Именно тогда.
At the moment when small snowy hills were lined up on the screen, pierced with rickety crosses, and a male voice was narrating it with a slow, mournful voice.
Стояла беспросветная.
It was pitch black night at the cemetery.
В то мрачное время маленькая Сеня встретила свою
In that fateful dark time, little Senya met her fate at the face of a monstrous thicket dweller.
Местные называют его не иначе, как хозяин леса.
The locals call him none other than the Forest Master. I froze and did my best not to move, as if by doing that I would scare away the narrator. I listened closely to his every word.
Зверь разобрался с беспомощной девочкой.
The beast dealt with the helpless girl in a masterful manner. The camera panned across the snow with something black spilled over it, looking for ragged pieces of cloth that were thrown around all over the place. I didn't want to think whether Senya's remains were wrapped in there, so I shut my eyes without thinking. The voice continued. Wolves are rare guests in these parts. Here's what Tamara, the old woman that lives in a nearby crypt, had to say. A close-up shot of the face of an old homeless woman. No, she lives in the... Okay. Weary from life and alcohol abuse rattled on the screen. Ah, yes, such a fearsome beastie it is, worse than the rising dead. The old woman splattered saliva all over the rectangular mic. And the stink! It's like... The rest of her comparison was swallowed up by the sound of a horn. I've never felt anything like that. It was just standing there, yes, right where you stand, boyo, and pierced me with its eyes right from the middle of day. It was so huge that one with glassy eyes. Obscenities were covered by another beep. You know, they say if this demon lays its eyes upon you, it'll snatch you, put you in its back, and you're done. Ha! But you won't touch me! Likes me, it seems. So they even call me the devil's wench. And it's definitely true. The carnivorous monster would not touch those who fell to the level of forest beasts, going for the innocent child's blood instead. The forest master's presence is felt more and more on the outskirts of our country. Torn between believing in what was said and shrugging it away, I decided to record the remaining part of the documentary for some reason. Don't play over Aladdin! I quickly grabbed the tape that was on top of the TV and put it into the VCR without even looking at the cover. I pressed, oh, he's gonna record over Aladdin, this dumb doofus, and pressed record, turned the sound up and paid attention to the slipping signal. It's not called the Forest Master for nothing. All of the animals obey it, be they hairy or feathery. They are all precursors for its appearance. If you hear howls in the distance, then it must or most likely already knows where you live. If you find animal prints all over your doorsteps and birds watching you from the trees, you better hide. It's already coming for you. And if you wake up at night and see a pair of eyes in your window, then soon, then soon, then soon, then soon, then soon, then soon.